When I was a little boy, I liked to listen to Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf. It was always fun. I like music. I love symphonic music, and and in fact, I used to play in orchestras and concert bands and things like that. I really enjoyed that. I used to play in a brass quintet as well. So so I love music, and I loved that format, and I liked that story. And if you know the story, Peter and the Wolf, Peter would often sound an alarm that the wolf was nearby, and it really wasn't, and it would give him a lot of attention, and the people would come running around. And then one day he kind of wore out his welcome, and the wolf actually showed up, and nobody came to his rescue. And we don't want to be people like that. And in fact, NHOP tries very, very hard to, when we sound an alarm, that it's really warranted and that you can arise to it and pray. And when we call you to pray, there's a reason. It's important that we, as individuals, make sure that what we're listening to is actually the truth. And let me read you something from Proverbs 18, verse 17. I really like this. And this is a great posture, but let me read this here. The one who states his case first seems right. So often we see that there is a rush to get information to the forefront so that you'll look at it, so that they'll get clicks and views and things like that. And you want to be on top of it, and you want to be the king of the castle. And that's kind of the thing in the world of social media and all these other things. It's about clicks, and it's about getting recognition. But so it seems like the one who states his face first seems right. But listen to this: until the other comes and examines him. And it's our posture is that we want to be able to examine things and examine what is happening. That's why we're not really always the first out of the gate when we're processing things that come out of the House of Commons, because we are researching it and we are making sure it was actually said. So we're going back to the Hansard, the place where everything is written down in the House of Commons or in committee, to make sure that those things were actually said in that context, because it's so easy to take things out of context. One of the things that I was really brought to my attention just before we went on Christmas break, we were in the House of Commons, and we had spoken with a staffer, and they were sharing with us how many people have become cynical about when an alarm is risen, when an alarm is sounded from particular parties. And they're saying when religious freedoms are at stake, for example. There were so many Christians, if you were following along on social media, there were so many Christians that were saying, yeah, it's nothing. They've said this before, and we've had legislation that they said was bad, and it really wasn't that bad, and we're okay now. But I want to say this, what I want to say this about that is it's these little tiny erosions of freedoms that actually make a big difference in the end. And so we need to be mindful of when religious freedoms are snipped away and snipped away and snipped away and snipped away. It might not be any ramifications in the very moment, but it's for down the road that we have to be mindful of. And if I'll tell you something, we were just at Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial site in Israel. If you get a chance to Israel, you must see that. But there are Holocaust memorial sites throughout Canada. Go to them, because you'll see something very, very similar that has happened back then is happening today. And that was the erosion of religious freedom and freedom of speech. So when we bring you something that says, be mindful of this, this is happening, be in prayer for this, take action in this, it's because Jesus said this, it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. And so it's the little tiny snippings away of our freedoms, of our freedom of religion, that actually is moving towards an end. There's an end. There's a plot. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but there's something afloat. We're not quite sure it is, but there's something afloat that may be more diabolical than we think. That is why we need to be those people that study. Like I said in verse 17 of Proverbs 18, we need to check it out. We need to go deeper. So I want to encourage you, go deeper. Even on our stuff, when we put it out there, go deeper. Make sure we got it right. Make sure everybody has it right. But not only that, once you've understood and you see the truth, you're responsible for the truth and for walking it out and applying whatever needs to be applied. I'm Chris Byberg, the director of the National House of Prayer, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.